The massive space station called Nexus Prime hung in the darkness like a glowing city among the stars. Ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its ports every day. Today, something important was happening in the Great Council chambers. At the station's heart, Ambassador Min-Ho Kim walked slowly down the long hallway toward the chamber doors. His black diplomatic uniform was perfect, but his face showed worry. He had been Earth's voice in the galaxy for 3 years now. He knew the alien species well. Today felt different. Today felt dangerous. The doors opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the chamber was huge and circular. 3 massive screens showed the faces of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Min-Ho took his place at the small human podium in the center. Around him, empty seats reminded everyone that humans were still new to galactic politics. The first screen showed Kristark Xylos of the Veltari. His body looked like living crystal, changing colors as he spoke. The Veltari were old, perhaps the oldest species in known space. They controlled mining operations on 1,000 worlds. The second screen displayed Hive Queen Zestra of the Krillians. Her insect-like form clicked and chittered as she moved. Behind her, dozens of smaller Krillians worked at control panels. The Krillians bred fast and worked as one mind across their empire. The third screen held Photarch Prime Luxandra. She appeared as pure energy shaped like a tall, thin person. Light danced around her form in patterns that hurt human eyes to watch. The Photarchs were beings of living energy who could travel through space without ships. Human representative, Kristark Xylos began. His voice sounded like wind through crystal caves. We have called this meeting for one purpose. Your species has expanded too far, too fast. Min-Ho kept his face calm, but his heart began to beat faster. Honored Kristark, humans have followed all galactic expansion laws. We have taken no claimed worlds. We have attacked no one. That is not the issue. Hive Queen Zestra clicked. Her voice was like 1,000 insects speaking at once. The issue is your rapid spread. In 50 years, you have claimed 37 star systems. This expansion great threatens galactic stability. Photarch Prime Luxandra's light pulsed brighter. Young species always expand quickly. Then they learn limits. Some learn gently. Others learn through correction. Min-Ho felt cold sweat on his back. What exactly are you proposing? Kristark Xylos changed from blue to deep red. Humanity will withdraw from all systems beyond your home system of Sol. You have 30 standard days to complete this withdrawal. That's impossible, Min-Ho said quickly. 12 million humans live in those colonies. They have built homes, farms, entire cities. You're asking us to abandon everything. We are not asking, Hive Queen Zestra replied. We are informing you of our decision. The 3 great powers have agreed. Humanity's expansion ends now. Min-Ho's mind raced. This was worse than anyone on Earth had imagined. And if we refuse, Photarch Prime Luxandra's form blazed brighter. Then we will implement adjustment protocols. Your outer colonies will be evacuated by force. Your ships will be impounded. Your expansion capability will be removed. You're talking about war, Min-Ho said quietly. No. Kristark Xylos laughed, a sound like breaking glass. War requires 2 sides with similar power. We have observed your vessels, human. Research ships, cargo haulers, a few light patrol craft. Your entire fleet could not challenge one of our battle groups. Min-Ho knew they were wrong, but he couldn't show it. For 30 years, Earth had carefully hidden its true military strength. Every human ship the aliens had seen was exactly what it appeared to be, civilian vessels with minimal weapons. What they hadn't seen were the massive shipyards hidden in asteroid belts and the fleet's training and systems far from alien trade routes. I need to consult with my government, Min-Ho said. Of course. Hive Queen Zestra clicked with amusement. Primitive species always need time to accept reality. You have 5 standard days to provide your compliance schedule. 5 days isn't enough time to even reach Earth and return, Min-Ho protested. Then use your quantum communicators, Photarch Prime Luxandra said. We know humans possess this technology. Min-Ho felt a chill. The aliens knew about humanity's faster-than-light communication network. What else did they know? More importantly, what didn't they know? On Earth, Prime Minister Soo-Young Park sat in the secure briefing room beneath the Global Defense Center. The quantum communicator crackled with Minho's voice from thousands of light-years away. "They're serious, Madam Prime Minister." Minho's voice was tense. "This isn't a negotiation. It's an ultimatum with a threat of force." Soo-Young looked around. The table at her advisors. Admiral Ji-Won Lee, Minho's sister, sat straight and alert in her navy blue uniform. Director Tae-hyun Cho of Human Intelligence kept his face blank, but his eyes were sharp. Defense Minister Kyung-Soo Ryu drummed his fingers on the table. "What are their numbers?" Admiral Ji-Won asked. "Unknown exactly," Minho replied. "But intelligence suggests they can field at least 1,500 capital ships between the three powers." Director Tae-hyun spoke for the first time. "Our latest count puts their combined strength at 2,100 ships. However, they haven't fought a real war in over 300 years. Most of their vessels are old designs focused on policing, not combat." "Can we negotiate?" Soo-Young asked. "I tried," Minho said. "They view us as children playing with dangerous toys. They think removing us from those systems will be easy." Admiral Ji-Won smiled coldly. "How easy would it be?" "Director," Tae-hyun opened a secure file on his tablet. "Based on our intelligence, we could defeat their combined fleets with 60% of our active battle force. However, that would reveal our full strength to the galaxy. The political consequences would be severe." "Explain," Soo-Young ordered. "Right. Now other species see us as weak but harmless," Tae-hyun continued. "If we suddenly reveal we have the strongest military in the galaxy, every other species will unite against us out of fear. Better to let these three powers think they're in control while we prepare a demonstration they'll never forget." Admiral Ji-Won leaned forward. "What kind of demonstration?" Tae-hyun's smile was thin. "The kind that ends with them begging us for mercy." Back on Nexus Prime, Minho requested a private channel to Earth. The aliens granted it, confident that humans needed to discuss surrender terms. "Minho," Soo-Young's voice came through clearly. "We're going to need more time." "How much more?" "I'm 45 days total." "Tell them we need time to organize the evacuation." Minho understood immediately. Earth needed time to position its hidden fleets. "I'll request the extension." When the session resumed, Minho addressed the three powers again. "My government requires 45 days to organize such a massive evacuation. 30 days is simply not enough time." Christarch Xylos shifted to yellow, showing amusement. "Very well. 45 days. We are not unreasonable. However, any delay beyond that timeline will result in immediate enforcement action." "Understood," Minho replied. "We accept your terms." Hive Queen Zestra's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Wisdom. See how easy it is when lesser species accept reality?" After the session ended, Minho walked back to his quarters on the diplomatic level. His room was small but comfortable, with a large window showing the stars. He activated his private communicator and sent a coded message to Earth. "The flowers will bloom in spring," he said simply. On Earth, Admiral Ji-Won Lee received the coded message in her command center. Around her, dozens of officers worked at holographic displays showing ship positions across human space. She turned to her aide, Captain Donghyun Kang. "Signal all fleet commanders," she ordered. "Code Typhoon. Full deployment authorization is now active." Captain Donghyun nodded and began entering commands into his console. Across human space, sleeping giants began to wake. In the Alpha Centauri system, massive asteroid bases opened their hidden doors. Dreadnoughts that had been disguised as mining platforms powered up their engines. Carriers hidden inside hollow asteroids launched their first reconnaissance flights. At Wolf 359, Admiral Seonghwan Lim received his orders aboard the HSV Thunder's Edge. His battle group had been training in the outer system for 2 years, pretending to be a scientific expedition studying the star's radiation patterns. "All ships. This is Admiral Lim," he broadcast on secure channels. "Operation Garden Party is now active. Begin conversion to combat configuration." Around him, 200 ships that had appeared to be research vessels began to transform. Sensor arrays folded back to reveal weapons ports. Laboratory modules ejected to expose armor plating. Within hours, the scientific expedition became a fully armed battle group. In the Vega system, Commander Hyejin Song commanded the Stealth Reconnaissance Division. Her ships were completely invisible to alien sensors, using technology that bent light and absorbed energy signatures. For months, her vessels had been mapping alien defensive positions throughout their territory. New orders, she told her captains, during their daily briefing. We're moving to forward positions. The time for watching is almost over. Back on Nexus Prime, the three alien powers met in private session. They were pleased with how easily the humans had accepted their terms. As expected, Christarch Xylos hummed with satisfaction. Humans are reasonable when faced with superior force. Perhaps too reasonable, Photarch Prime Lexandra pulsed thoughtfully. Most species show more resisto. The asteroid belt around Alpha Centauri looked normal to any passing ship. Chunks of rock drifted in their ancient orbits, just as they had for millions of years. But deep inside the largest asteroids, something extraordinary was happening. Admiral Jiwan Li stood on the bridge of the HSV Indomitable, watching through the massive view screen as her flagship emerged from its hiding place. The 2-kilometer-long dreadnought had been built inside a hollowed-out asteroid over the past 5 years. Now it floated free for the first time, its black hull drinking in the light of 3 distant stars. All systems online, Admiral, reported Captain Donghyun Kang from his position next to her. Quantum torpedoes armed and ready, adaptive armor responding perfectly, engine output at maximum efficiency. Jiwan nodded, but her attention was on the tactical display showing the entire Alpha Centauri system. One by one, green dots appeared, as ships reported ready status. Each dot represented a warship that the galaxy had never seen. How many are we at now? She asked. 947 ships operational in the Alpha Centauri group, Captain Donghyun replied. The final 53 will be ready within 6 hours. Around them, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. These men and women had trained for this moment for years. They knew what was coming, and they were ready. Lieutenant Min Jae-yoon looked up from his engineering console. Admiral, the new weapon systems are performing beyond expectations. The quantum torpedoes are showing a 30% increase in destructive power over our estimates. And the aliens have no defense against quantum weapons, Jiwan said with satisfaction. Their shields are designed for energy beams and kinetic projectiles. They've never seen anything like what we're bringing to this fight. Across human space, similar scenes were playing out. In the Wolf 359 system, Admiral Seunghwan Lim commanded battle groups 6 through 10 from his flagship, the HSV Thunder's Edge. His ships had been disguised as a deep space research mission for 2 years. Admiral, all ships report ready for jump, his tactical officer announced. Seunghwan looked at the display showing his 200 ships. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and his own dreadnought command ship. Each vessel was packed with technology the aliens couldn't imagine. Excellent. Begin Phase 2 movements. I want us in position at the border systems within 24 hours. In the Vega system, Admiral Jiho Park commanded the carrier groups. His massive ships held thousands of fighters and bombers, each one faster and deadlier than anything the aliens had ever built. The carriers themselves looked like mobile cities bristling with launch bays and defensive weapons. All fighter wings report ready for deployment, his air wing commander reported. We have 12,000 operational spacecraft ready for combat. Jiho smiled grimly. The aliens thought in terms of ship-to-ship combat. They had no idea that humans had revolutionized space warfare with swarm tactics and overwhelming fighter superiority. Meanwhile, Commander Heejin Song's stealth ships moved like ghosts through alien space. Her reconnaissance division had been mapping enemy positions for months completely undetected. Her ships used advanced cloaking technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. Target analysis complete, she reported to Admiral Jiwan during their daily briefing. The aliens have strong defensive positions around their core worlds, but their border systems are lightly defended. They're clearly not expecting any real resistance. What about their fleet positions? Jiwan asked. Most of their ships are scattered across their territories on routine patrols. They haven't concentrated their forces anywhere. It's like they're not preparing for war at all. Back on Earth, Prime Minister Soo-young Park met with her military advisors in the Underground Command Center. The room was filled with holographic displays showing ship positions across dozens of star systems. "Status report," she requested. Admiral Ji-won's face appeared on the main screen via quantum communicator. "All battle groups are moving into position ahead of schedule. We'll have 3,000 ships ready for action in 36 hours. Defense. Minister Kyung-soo Ryu studied the tactical displays. The aliens still show no signs of military preparation. Their ships maintain normal patrol patterns. They really believe we're going to surrender. Director Tae-hyun Cho spoke from his position at the intelligence station. "Our monitoring shows they're actually reducing their alert levels. They think the hard part is over. They expect us to spend the next month organizing a peaceful evacuation." "Perfect," Soo-young said. "The longer they remain unprepared, the more complete our victory will be." On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Min-ho Kim continued his diplomatic duties, attending meetings and filing routine reports. To outside observers, he appeared to be a man preparing for defeat. In reality, he was providing crucial intelligence about alien defensive preparations. During a casual conversation with a Veltari trade representative, he learned that the crystal beings had recalled their exploration fleets to assist with human resettlement operations. They were actually weakening their outer defenses to prepare for what they thought would be a peaceful occupation. "The Krillians are doing the same thing," his assistant reported privately. "They're moving construction ships and colony vessels toward human space. They plan to strip mine our former worlds immediately after we leave." Minho felt cold anger at their arrogance, but he kept his expression neutral. "What about the Photarchs?" "They're positioning energy collection arrays near our systems. Apparently they want to harness the stellar output from abandoned human worlds." The aliens weren't just planning to kick humanity out of their colonies. They were planning to steal everything humans had built and claim it for themselves. Into his private quarters that night, Minho sent another coded message to Earth. "The wolves are already dividing the sheep." The message reached Admiral Ji-won on the bridge of the Indomitable. She shared it with her senior staff during their evening briefing. "They're not just threatening us," Captain Dong-hyun said angrily. "They're planning to loot our colonies." "That changes things," Admiral Ji-won replied coldly. "We're not just defending our territory anymore. We're teaching them a lesson about respecting human property." Chief Engineer Min Jae-yoon looked up from his technical readouts. "Admiral, I have an idea about that. What if we demonstrate our capabilities on one of their mining operations? Show them what happens to people who steal from humans." "Interesting thought," Ji-won mused. "Commander Song's reconnaissance has identified several undefended mining stations in neutral space. A precise strike would send a message without triggering full-scale war immediately. Around human space, the largest military movement in galactic history continued. Ships that had been hidden for years moved toward their assigned positions. Battle groups that had trained in secret prepared for their first real combat. The aliens remained completely unaware. Their sensors detected increased merchant traffic between human systems, but they interpreted it as evacuation preparations. A few alien intelligence officers noted that human ships seemed to be moving in unusually organized patterns, but their reports were dismissed by commanders who knew that humans lacked military discipline. Commander Sun Miko commanded the artillery, dreadnoughts of Battle Group 12. Her ships carried the heaviest weapons in the human fleet, planet killer class guns that could crack a moon in half. She had spent 3 years training her crews for this moment. "All batteries report ready," her gunnery officer announced. "We have enough firepower to glass 50 worlds." "Let's hope we don't need that much," Sunmi replied. "But if we do need it, we'll be ready." In the Outer Rim systems, Admiral Chang Min-ho commanded the intelligence and electronic warfare ships. His vessels looked like ordinary communication relays, but they carried the most advanced computer systems in human space. His mission was to blind and confuse alien sensors when the fighting started. "We've mapped their entire communication network," he reported to Admiral Ji-won. When you give the word, we can shut down their coordination completely. Their ships won't be able to talk to each other or their home bases. The beauty of the human plan was its simplicity. While the aliens expected a slow, peaceful withdrawal, humanity was preparing the largest surprise attack in galactic history. 3,000 warships would appear simultaneously across dozens of systems, delivering a message that couldn't be ignored. But first, they needed to wait for the right moment. On day 43, Admiral Jiwan stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at her tactical display. Every green dot was in position. Battle groups from Alpha Centauri to the Outer Rim systems were ready for action. The stealth reconnaissance ships had provided perfect intelligence on alien positions. The electronic warfare vessels were prepared to jam enemy communications. "Signal from Earth," Captain Donghyun announced. "Prime Minister Park sends her compliments and final authorization." Jiwan nodded and activated the fleet-wide communication system. Her face appeared on screens throughout human space, addressing 3,000 ship captains and their crews. "Officers and crew of the Human Defense Fleet," she began. "For years, we have prepared for this moment. Today, we stop hiding our strength. Today we show the galaxy who humanity really is." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "The aliens think we are weak. They think we will surrender our homes without..." Day 45 arrived with deceptive calm. In the border system of Kepler 442, human colonists went about their daily lives on 3 different worlds. They tended their farms, operated their factories, and raised their children, just as they had for 20 years. But today was different. Today, the galaxy would change forever. Sub-Christarch Prion of the Veltari stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Crystal Hammer. Around him, 500 alien warships moved through space in perfect formation. The combined fleet represented all 3 major powers: Veltari crystal ships that gleamed like floating jewels, Krillian bioships that looked like massive insects, and Photarch energy vessels that blazed like captured stars. "Contact with human defensive positions in 30 minutes, his tactical officer reported. Prion shifted to a confident blue color. This would be the easiest military operation in galactic history. Intelligence reports showed only a single human battle group defending the system, perhaps 200 ships at most. Against his 500 vessels, the humans would surrender immediately. "Open a channel to the human commander when we arrive," Prion ordered. "We'll give them one chance to withdraw peacefully before we take their ships." What Prion didn't know was that Admiral Seonghwan Lim had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. The human fleet in Kepler 442 wasn't a defensive force caught by surprise. It was a carefully prepared trap. "Alien fleet detected," reported Lieutenant Young-Soo Bae from his tactical station aboard the HSV Thunder's Edge. 500 ships, mixed configuration. They're coming in fast and confident." Admiral Seonghwan smiled grimly. "Exactly as predicted. Signal all ships to maintain civilian configurations until my command. Let them think we're just frightened colonists with a few patrol boats." Around him, 200 human ships continued their normal patterns. To alien sensors, they looked like merchant vessels, research ships, and light patrol craft. The massive weapon systems remained hidden behind false hull plates. The advanced armor stayed powered down. The quantum torpedo launchers looked like cargo bays. Captain Yoonji Hwang commanded the destroyer HSV Thunder's Edge from her position next to Admiral Seonghwan. Her ship was the most advanced destroyer in the human fleet, but to alien eyes it appeared to be a simple escort vessel. "All weapons ready but concealed," she reported quietly. "The quantum torpedoes are armed and targeted. Enemy fleet composition suggests they have no idea what they're facing." Communications officer Narration looked up from her station. "Admiral, the alien fleet is broadcasting demands for our surrender. Should I respond?" "Put it on speakers," Seonghwan ordered. Sub-Christarch Prion's voice filled the bridge, translated by the ship's computers. "Human vessels, this is Sub-Christarch Prion of the Galactic Enforcement Fleet. By order of the Galactic Council, you will immediately withdraw from this system. Power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted to the system edge." Admiral Seonghwan activated his own communicator. "This is Admiral Seonghwan Lim of the Human Defense Fleet. These are our worlds, Sub-Christarch. We're not going anywhere. Prions. Response came quickly, tinged with amusement. Admiral? Humans have admirals now? How quaint. You command 200 primitive ships against 500 modern warships. Surely you can see the futility of resistance. I can see many things, Seung-hwan replied calmly. The question is, what can you see? On the alien flagship, Prion studied his tactical displays with growing confidence. The human ships were maintaining their positions, but showed no signs of aggressive maneuvering. Their energy signatures were weak, consistent with lightly armed civilian vessels. Sub-Christarch, his weapons officer, reported, the humans appear to be powering up defensive systems only. No offensive capabilities detected. As expected, Prion hummed with satisfaction. Fire warning shots across their formation. Let's encourage them to see reason. 3 alien ships fired energy beams that streaked past the human formation. Brilliant lines of destruction that would have vaporized any ship they actually hit. On the Thunder's edge, Admiral Seung-hwan watched the light show, with cold eyes. Well, gentlemen and ladies, they fired the first shots. I believe that makes this an act of war. He activated the fleet communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Lim. Execute Order 7. Show them what human ships can really do. Across Ebel, the human formation, 200 ships suddenly transformed. False hull plates ejected into space, revealing massive weapon ports. Sensor arrays unfolded like deadly flowers. Engine signatures spiked as military-grade power plants came online. At full power, Captain Nunja Huang smiled as her ship revealed its true nature. Quantum torpedo tubes armed and ready. Target lock acquired on the alien flagship. Fire 1 torpedo, Admiral Seung-hwan ordered quietly. Let's get their attention. The quantum torpedo launched from the Thunder's edge without any visible flash or sound. It was a small projectile, no larger than a person, but it contained technology that the aliens had never seen. Instead of explosive warheads or energy bursts, it carried a quantum disruptor that could tear apart the very atoms that held matter together. Sub-Christarch Prion watched in confusion as something small and fast approached his formation. His sensors couldn't get a clear reading on it. What kind of projectile is that? He asked his tactical officer. Unknown design, Sub-Christarch. Energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. The torpedo struck the Veltari dreadnought crystal sword, amidships. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the massive ship simply came apart at the molecular level. 2 kilometers of advanced crystal technology dissolved into its component atoms, leaving nothing but a glowing cloud of dispersed matter. Silence filled both fleets as everyone tried to understand what they had just witnessed. By the eternal light, whispered Prion's tactical officer. They vaporized the crystal sword completely. No debris, no wreckage. It's just gone. Prion's crystal form shifted from blue to deep red, the color of shock and fear. How is that possible? Their sensors showed minimal weapons capability. On the Thunder's edge, Admiral Seung-hwan activated his communicator again. Sub-Christarch Prion, that was a demonstration. We have 199 more ships, each carrying between 50 and 200 similar weapons. Would you like another demonstration, or shall we discuss your immediate withdrawal? But Prion's shock was quickly turning to rage. The humans had destroyed one of his finest ships with a single shot. His crystal form blazed with angry red light. All ships attack formation, he commanded. Destroy the human fleet. The alien formation began to advance, but they immediately discovered their second unpleasant surprise. The human ships were fast, much faster than any intelligence report had suggested. Captain Yunja Huang's destroyer leaped forward at incredible speed, covering the distance to the alien line in seconds. Around her, the entire human formation moved like a pack of hunting wolves, their ships executing complex maneuvers that the alien targeting systems couldn't track. How are they moving so fast? Prion's navigation officer reported in panic. Their acceleration rates are 3 times higher than our estimates. The human ships swarmed through the alien formation like angry wasps. Quantum torpedoes launched, in perfect coordination, each one finding its target with devastating accuracy. Alien ships began vanishing one after another, dissolved at the molecular level by weapons they couldn't understand or defend against. A Krillian bioship tried to ram the Thunder's edge, but Captain Yunja simply increased power to her engines and danced away from the clumsy attack. Her return volley of 3 quantum torpedoes erased the bioship from existence. "Target the command ships," Admiral Sung-hwan ordered. "Let's end this quickly." The Photarch energy vessels tried to coordinate a counterattack, but Admiral Changmin-O's electronic warfare ships had been waiting for this moment. Suddenly, the alien fleet found itself blind and deaf as their communications were jammed and their sensors scrambled. "Sub-Christarch," Prion's communication officer shouted over the chaos. "We've lost contact with 60% of our ships. Our sensor net is down. I can't get targeting locks on the human vessels." Through his view screen, Prion watched his fleet being systematically destroyed. Human ships moved through his formation like ghosts, appearing and disappearing at will. Each appearance meant another alien ship vanishing into atomic clouds. In less than 10 minutes, he had lost over 50 vessels. The humans hadn't lost a single ship. "Sub-Christarch." His tactical officer's voice was shaking. "The humans are offering us a communication channel. Put it through," Prion said, his crystal form now a pale, frightened white. Admiral Seung-hwan's face appeared on the screen, calm and professional. "Sub-Christarch Prion, you have lost 53 ships. We have lost none. Your formation is broken, your communications are jammed, and your remaining ships are surrounded. Do you wish to continue this engagement?" Prion looked at his tactical display. Where once he had commanded 500 ships in perfect formation, now he saw chaos. Human vessels moved between his scattered ships like predators among helpless prey. Every few seconds, another alien ship simply disappeared. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "Your immediate surrender and withdrawal from this system," Seung-hwan replied. "All surviving ships will power down weapons and accept human escort to the system edge. You will then The emergency session of the Galactic Council lasted 18 hours. Representatives from dozens of species watched in horrified fascination as Sub-Christarch Prion's battle footage played again and again. Ship after ship simply vanished, dissolved, by weapons that shouldn't exist. Christarch Xylos had been deep red for hours, his crystal form pulsing with rage and fear. "Mobilize everything," he commanded. "Every ship from every world, this cannot stand." Hive Queen Zestra's entire form chittered with agitation. "The humans must be stopped before they grow stronger. If we wait, they may become impossible to defeat." Photarch. Prime Luxandra blazed like a miniature star. 2,000 ships, the largest fleet in galactic history. We will crush them through sheer numbers. What they didn't know was that Admiral Changmin-O's intelligence ships had been monitoring their communications for hours. Every plan, every ship movement, every strategic decision was being transmitted directly to Admiral Ji-Wan Lee aboard the HSV Indomitable. "They're gathering everything they have at Nexus Prime," Admiral Changmin reported during the secure briefing. 2,000 ships from 47 different worlds. They plan to hit our core systems with overwhelming force. Admiral Ji-Wan studied the tactical displays showing alien fleet movements across half the galaxy. Ships were converging on the Nexus, Prime system from every direction, the largest military gathering in known history. "Perfect," she said with cold satisfaction. "They're doing exactly what we want them to do." Captain Donghyun Kang looked puzzled. "Admiral, they outnumber us 2-1. "In ships, yes," Admiral Ji-Wan replied, "but not in capability, and they've made a critical strategic error. They're concentrating their entire fleet in one system, which means we can destroy their entire military capability in a single battle." She activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All battle group commanders, this is Admiral Lee. Execute Operation Hammerfall. Converge on Nexus Prime. It's time to end this war before it really begins." Across human space, the largest fleet movement in human history began. Battle groups that had been hiding in distant systems suddenly emerged and began moving toward the galactic core. Admiral Seung-hwan Lim's groups from the border systems. Admiral Ji-ho Park's massive carrier wings. Commander Sun Miko's artillery dreadnoughts. Admiral Chang Min-o's electronic warfare ships. And leading them all, Admiral Jiwan Lee's flagship command group, centered around the HSV Indomitable. The ships moved in perfect coordination, their courses calculated to bring them all to Nexus Prime at exactly the same time. To alien observers, it looked like human merchant traffic was suddenly increasing across dozens of systems. They had no idea they were watching the approach of the largest military force ever assembled. On Nexus Prime, the alien fleet gathered in defensive formations around the massive space station. Veltari crystal ships formed the outer defense perimeter, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the light of the system's star. Krillian bioships clustered in the middle zones, their organic hulls writhing with defensive spines and weapon pods. Photarch energy vessels blazed in the inner system, ready to unleash devastating energy attacks. Sub-Christarch Prion, now demoted and disgraced, watched from a support vessel as the massive fleet prepared for battle. He had tried to warn them about human capabilities, but the council leaders refused to believe that 200 primitive ships could defeat 500 modern warships. "They'll learn," he whispered to himself. "They'll all learn." Commander Hyejin Song's stealth reconnaissance ships had been watching the alien preparations for days. Her invisible vessels moved through the enemy formation like ghosts, mapping every ship position and defensive arrangement. "The aliens have strong positions around the station," she reported to Admiral G1. "But they're arranged for traditional fleet combat. They have no idea what our fighters can do." Admiral Jiho Park smiled from the bridge of his carrier flagship, the HSV Skyhammer. His ship alone carried 2,000 fighters and bombers, each one faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens had ever seen. "How many total fighters do we have ready?" Admiral Jiwan asked. 12,000 operational spacecraft, Admiral Jiho replied. "Each fighter is equipped with micro-quantum torpedoes and advanced targeting systems. The aliens have never faced swarm tactics on this scale." At Nexus Prime, Christarch Xylo stood in the station's command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing his massive fleet. 2,000 ships in perfect defensive positions. Surely no force in the galaxy could challenge such power. "Human ships detected at system edge," his tactical officer reported. "How many?" Xylos asked, shifting to confident blue. "Sensors show this can't be right." "What is it?" "I'm reading 3,000 human vessels, sir, but that's impossible. Intelligence shows they have perhaps 300 ships total." Xylos flickered between colors rapidly. "Check your sensors. Run a full diagnostic." "Already done, sir. Sensors are functioning perfectly. There are 3,000 human ships entering our system." On the main display, the impossible sight appeared. A fleet that stretched across space like a metal wall. Ships in perfect formation as far as the sensors could reach. Dreadnoughts the size of cities. Carriers that looked like floating metropolises. Destroyers that moved with predatory grace. And at the center of it all, the HSV Indomitable. 2 kilometers of black death bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Admiral Jiwan Lee stood on her bridge looking at the tactical display showing the alien defensive positions. Around her, her crew worked with quiet efficiency, preparing for the largest space battle in galactic history. "Open a channel to the alien fleet," she ordered. Her image appeared on screens throughout the Nexus Prime system, broadcast on all frequencies. She wore the black uniform of the human defense fleet, and her voice was calm and professional. "This is Fleet Admiral Jiwan Lee of the Human Naval Forces. You have 10 minutes to surrender all military assets and withdraw all claims to human territory. This is your only warning." Christarch Xylos' response was immediate and furious. "Human, you face 2,000 warships of the Galactic Alliance. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." "I see 2,000 ships, yes," Admiral Jiwan replied calmly. "But I also see ships designed for policing, not war. Ships that have never faced real combat. Ships crewed by beings who think numbers matter more than capability." She paused, her expression hardening. "You have 9 minutes to reconsider." Silos blazed with red fury. "All ships attack formation. Destroy the human fleet." The alien fleet began to advance, 2,000 ships moving in perfect coordination. It was an awesome sight, the largest military force in galactic history advancing to battle. Then Admiral Jiho Park's fighters launched. From the human carriers came clouds of small, fast ships. They poured out like angry insects. 12,000 fighters and bombers spreading across space in coordinated swarms. Each squadron moved with inhuman precision, guided by advanced AI systems that could coordinate thousands of individual ships as one entity. "What are those?" Xylos's tactical officer shouted in panic. "I'm reading 12,000 small craft." The fighters hit the alien fleet like a storm. They were too small and fast for the big ship weapons to target effectively, but each fighter carried micro-quantum torpedoes that could damage capital ships. Suddenly, the alien fleet found itself under attack from thousands of tiny enemies that were impossible to kill. Veltari crystal ships began exploding as swarms of fighters overwhelmed their defenses. Krillian bioships writhed in agony as fighters dove through their formations like deadly birds. Photarch energy vessels blazed helplessly as fighters danced around their energy beams. But that was just the beginning. Commander Sunmiko's artillery dreadnoughts opened fire with their planet killer weapons. Each shot could destroy a moon, and they were aimed at the largest alien ships. Veltari command vessels vanished in balls of nuclear fire. Krillian hive ships broke apart under the massive energy impacts. Admiral Changmin O's electronic warfare ships jammed every alien communication frequency. Suddenly, 2,000 ships found themselves blind and deaf, unable to coordinate or call for help. And through it all, Admiral Jiwan Lee's main battle line advanced with terrible purpose. The HSV Indomitable led a wall of human dreadnoughts, each one larger and more powerful than anything the aliens had ever built. "Target their command ships," Admiral Jiwan ordered. "End their ability to coordinate." Quantum torpedoes launched in perfect volleys, seeking out the alien flagship and command vessels. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries simply ceased to exist, dissolved at the molecular level by weapons their crews couldn't comprehend. On Nexus Prime, Christarch Xylos watched his fleet die. In 30 minutes, half his ships were gone. The humans hadn't lost a single capital ship. "Surrender," his tactical officer pleaded. "We have to surrender before they kill us all." "Never!" Xylos blazed with desperate fury. "Signal all ships to ram the human vessels. If we can't win, we'll take them with us." But even that desperate tactic failed. Human ships were too fast, too maneuverable. Alien ships trying to ram them found themselves chasing shadows, while fighters swarmed over them like predators. Admiral Seungwon Lim's border fleet group swept through the outer alien formations, their quantum weapons making short work of the confused and scattered enemy ships. Captain Yunja Huang. 6 months after the Battle of Nexus Prime, Ambassador Minho Kim walked through the same corridors he had once traveled as a supplicant. But everything had changed. Human Marines stood guard at every intersection, their black uniforms and quantum rifles marking them as the new authority in galactic politics. The council chambers had been rebuilt and expanded. Where once 3 alien powers had dictated terms to lesser species, now humanity held court over a reformed galactic government. The old circular chamber with its 3 massive screens had been replaced with a more democratic arrangement, though everyone understood who really held power. Minho took his place at the central podium, no longer the representative of a minor species begging for consideration. Today he spoke as the voice of the galaxy's dominant civilization. "The Galactic Council will come to order," he announced, his voice carrying easily through the chamber. Around him sat representatives from dozens of species. The Veltari delegation occupied a smaller section than before, their crystal forms dim with submission. The Krillian representatives chittered nervously, their hive mind clearly struggling to adapt to their new secondary status. The Photarchs flickered weakly, their energy forms barely visible. But there were also new faces. Species that had been oppressed or ignored by the old powers now held prominent positions. The turtle-like Shalak, whose worlds had been strip-mined by the Veltari for centuries. The gaseous Nimari, who had been forced to provide energy to Photarch civilization. The plant-based Florens, whose agricultural worlds had fed Krillian expansion. "First order of business," Minho continued. "The establishment of the human colonial protection zone." Governor Yejin Choi rose from her seat in the human delegation. She had been appointed as humanity's chief administrator for galactic affairs, a position that made her effectively the most powerful non-military person in known space. The Human Colonial Protection Zone encompasses all systems within 50 light-years of established human colonies, she announced. Within this zone, human law applies. Human ships have absolute freedom of movement. Human citizens have full protection under human military authority. Christarch Xylos, greatly diminished since his defeat, flickered a weak protest. The zone encompasses nearly 200 star systems. Many contain Veltari mining operations established for centuries. Correction, Governor Yejin replied calmly. They contained Veltari operations. Those operations are now under human administration. Your people may continue working there under human supervision, assuming they follow human safety and environmental standards. The implications were clear. The Veltari had lost not just their military power, but their economic empire as well. Their strip mining operations would be replaced with sustainable human industrial methods. Hive Queen Zestra's chittering rose in distress. Our agricultural colonies in the zone feed billions of Krillians. Without them, our populations will starve. Which is why we're offering a solution, Governor Yejin said with a slight smile. Human agricultural technology can increase your food production by 300%. We're prepared to share this technology in exchange for technological and cultural exchange agreements. The message was subtle but unmistakable. The old powers could survive and even prosper under human leadership, but only if they accepted their new status as junior partners rather than galactic rulers. Prime Minister Soo-young Park's image appeared on the main screen, broadcasting from Earth. She looked tired, but satisfied as she addressed the assembled delegates. 6 months ago, you gave humanity an ultimatum, she began. You told us to abandon our colonies or face the consequences. You believed we were weak, primitive, and helpless. She paused, letting her words sink in. You were wrong. But humanity is not a vengeful species. We're offering you something the old galactic order never provided. True partnership based on mutual respect and shared prosperity. Around the chamber, alien delegates listened with varying degrees of hope and resignation. The smaller species looked excited at the prospect of fair treatment. The former great powers struggled with their reduced circumstances. The Human Colonial Protection Zone is just the beginning, Soo-young continued. We're establishing the Galactic Protection Service, a military force dedicated to defending all member species against external threats and internal oppression. Admiral Ji-won Lee stepped forward to explain the military arrangements. Her admiral's uniform now bore additional insignia, marking her as Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces. The Protection Service will be headquartered at Nexus Prime, she announced. Human ships will patrol all major trade routes, ensuring safe passage for all species. Piracy, slavery, and territorial aggression will not be tolerated. The implications were staggering. Humanity was essentially declaring itself the galaxy's police force, with the military power to enforce its will anywhere in known space. What about our own defense forces? Asked Ambassador Thirks of the Mantid Collective, an insectoid species that had remained neutral during the recent conflict. Existing defense forces may continue operating within their home systems, Admiral Ji-won replied. However, any military force larger than a single battle group must be registered with human authorities and operate under Protection Service oversight. Translation: no one would be allowed to build a fleet large enough to challenge human dominance ever again. Director Tae-hyun Cho, now bearing the title of Galactic Intelligence Coordinator, presented the next item on humanity's agenda. The Technology Sharing Initiative, he announced. Humanity will share selected technologies with member species in exchange for cultural and scientific exchange. Priority will be given to technologies that improve quality of life, increase productivity, and enhance peaceful cooperation. The Yuchabi offer was genuinely generous, but the control mechanisms were obvious. Humanity would choose which technologies to share and with whom. Military technologies would remain exclusively human. For example, Director Tae-hyun continued, We're prepared to share our advanced medical technology with the Veltari. Your crystal-based biology responds very well to our quantum healing techniques. Krillian agricultural worlds will benefit from our soil enhancement systems. Photarc energy storage methods can be dramatically improved with our quantum batteries. The former great powers realized they were being offered a choice: accept human leadership and benefit from superior technology, or remain isolated and gradually fall further behind. Ambassador Wanho Nam, humanity's new specialist in alien psychology, addressed the emotional aspects of the transition. "We understand this is difficult," he said gently. "Your species ruled the galaxy for centuries. Change is never easy. But consider what you're gaining: peace, prosperity, and protection. Under the old system, species fought constantly for resources and territory. Under human administration, there will be enough for everyone." His words carried weight because they were true. Human industrial technology could produce goods at rates that made traditional scarcity economics obsolete. Human agricultural methods could feed populations that had struggled with hunger. Human medicine could cure diseases that had plagued species for millennia. The price was simple: accept human authority. "What about species that refuse these arrangements?" asked Ambassador Viridian of the Chlorophyte Union, a plant-based civilization from the Outer Rim. Governor Yejin Choi's expression remained pleasant, but her words carried an edge of steel. Non-participation is, of course, voluntary. However, the Protection Service cannot guarantee the safety of ships or territories outside the cooperative framework. Pirates and aggressive species might find such areas attractive targets. The threat was politely phrased but unmistakable: join the human system or face the chaos of unprotected space. As the session continued, the scope of humanity's plans became clear. They weren't just establishing political dominance, they were reshaping galactic civilization according to human values and methods. The old system of might makes right would be replaced with regulated cooperation. The traditional practice of strong species exploiting weak ones would end. Technology and resources would be distributed based on need and contribution rather than military power. But at the center of it all was the unspoken truth that everyone in the chamber understood: humanity had the military strength to enforce these changes against any opposition. "The final item," Ambassador Minho announced, "is the establishment of the Galactic Emergency Response Protocol." Admiral Chang Min, now bearing the title of Strategic Intelligence Director, explained the new system. "We've detected unusual activity beyond the galactic rim," he said quietly. "Long-range sensors show massive energy signatures moving in our direction. We believe there may be external threats approaching our galaxy." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. An external threat meant something from outside their galaxy entirely, potentially hostile and certainly unknown. The response protocol establishes procedures for coordinating the defense of our entire galaxy, Admiral Changmin continued. All member species will contribute according to their capabilities. Human forces will provide the core military strength, but will need everyone's help. Suddenly, humanity's dominance looked less like conquest and more like salvation. If external threats were real, the galaxy would need humanity's superior military technology to survive. Our